Welcome back. And now we are going to approach our chapter 15, next to last chapter of our learning experience on managing and communications. And so on this particular chapter, in this particular challenge chapter, we're going to talk about delivering those presentations that we just talked about designing of the last two chapters. And so if you're ready, let's get started. I'm going to share my monitor right quick as we discuss chapter 15, delivering presentations. All right. So now we're going to describe how presentations deliver impacts to your and impacts your credibility. We're going to deliver the presentations with authenticity, confidence, and influence. Sorry, I had a hard time saying that word. Apply the softened model of nonverbal communication for presentations. Use slides and handouts to supplement your presentation effectively, as well as interact effectively with your audience, interact effectively with your audience, and prepare to present effectively in teams. So here's some strategies. Under established credibility, internal presentations and external presentations, we want to maintain authenticity. Present your real self to the audience. So be real. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time saying that word. So strategies: know your material and rehearse. Become more comfortable with the content. Work out weekly connected areas, and identify parts of that you want to identify the parts that you want to emphasize through tone and nonverbal communication. Time the presentation. Overall, overcome fear and speak with confidence. Everyone gets nervous speaking in public, so engage in relaxation techniques. Become aware of your breathing, practice visualization, focus on friendly faces initially to gain exposure and confidence, to gain composure and confidence. Watch your food and beverage intake. Get comfortable with audience members before starting your presentation. So I used to be a very nervous person making presentations. And what the author has outlined here is very true. In order to make my presentations, I had to find somebody in the room or people in the room or faces I could connect with. Before making my presentations, I always went around the room during their previous breaks and I got to know my audience. Or if I was the last or middle speaker, I would sit in the room and observe how others reacted and observe the challenges in the room so that I could make sure that I corrected and pinpointed how I would deliver my messages, cleaned up my messages and how I would deliver them to the audience when it was my turn. So top fears of American adults: snakes, heights, public speaking. Public speaking is number 3. Yes, it is huge. My comeback for this is also, I started taking Toastmasters. It puts you on point. I took it with the best of the best. I took it with CEOs and CFOs in the room. And that's how I took Toastmasters, and I selected a Toastmasters that only had executive level members in the Toastmasters class. It worked. So establishing presence, focus on people, make people the subject of your sentences, introduce colleagues and refer to them by name during your presentation. Use names of audience members as appropriate. And this does work. I have used this in various different times when I'm speaking in a room, or even when I'm speaking in a Zoom call or otherwise, whatever type of presentation I'm making. If it's Zoom, WebEx, whatever, I call out people's names because it adds credibility and presence to my presentation. So making people the subject of your sentences. Here are some examples. The survey showed 43% versus Jeff, Steve, and I developed a survey after holding focus group with our employees to learn about their views of annual reviews. Of the 233 employees who took the survey, just 43% believe the annual reviews are accurate indicators. All right. And so less effective, introducing colleagues by name. I'll be presenting research conducted by the HR team. Who's the HR team? Our HR team, instead, our HR team, including Jeff Brody and Steve Cho, spent the last 2 months gathering information about annual reviews. You see how giving credibility to people pays off? Using names of audience members. It's common for managers to continue conducting annual reviews, even though they think there should be better ways of evaluating and motivating performance. More effective way is just before we started the meeting this morning, Cynthia, John, and I were chatting about annual reviews. You see how that adds it adds more realness to the presentation. So establishing presence. Stay flexible, arrive early, focus on the needs of your audience. When you lose your place, don't panic. Never tell your audience things haven't gone as expected. Always have a plan B and know that your key messages are what your key messages are. Use the room to your advantage. Position yourself where people can see you easily. Move around, but avoid distracting the audience. Use podiums and tables strategically. Soften model of nonverbal communication includes smile, open stance, forward lean, tone, eye contact, and nod. All right. And as you'll see, hopefully I've used a lot of these throughout these slide presentations I've made to you on this series. So dress for success, formal business dress and intended to project executive presence and seriousness. Business casual dress intended to project a more comfortable, relaxed feel while still maintaining a high standard of professionalism. And casual dress, less formal option, rare in a business-related setting. Messages sent by formality of workplace attire. So here you go. The most associated with various levels of formality. Friendly is casual, creative is down in the casual spectrum. Formal business is authoritative, competent is formal, productive, trustworthy. So this is the kind of dress that is recommended. Take a good look at this chart, all right? Using visual aids and handouts. Use visual without losing focus on you. Avoid turning out the lights in most cases. Don't start your slides right away. Speak to your audience, not the screen. Interpret, don't read your slides. Review the slides before showing them and use a remote control to advance slides when possible. Avoid standing in front of your slide projections and use blank slides strategically. Use handouts effectively. Handouts make sense for detailed numerical or other information that is difficult to project adequately onto a screen. And wait until the end of your presentation to distribute your handouts. So when you're interacting with your audience, here are some ways to do that. Field questions, pause before answering, be honest, show appreciation, be concise, and reframe the questions to match your agenda. Mingle and follow up. So table 15.4, be honest. Here's some information on being honest. So here you go, take a look at this and we'll come back. Pause the monitor. So what about 15.4.B? Here's some more on honesty. Great. Now, show appreciation as on 15.5. 15.6, be concise. Again, pause your monitor and read. And 15.7a, reframe the question to match your agenda. Pause for a moment and then continue the video. 15.7b, another great one. Please pause. Now, present effectively in teams. When you present effectively in teams, how do you present? Be clear with one another about your objectives and key messages. Decide on your presentation roles, who's on when. Stand together and present a united front and refer to one another's points. Transition effectively. Be supportive audience members. And being a supportive audience members, guys, take the role of the audience members seriously. Avoid behaviors that may distract the presenter and make comments and ask questions that help the presenter stay on message. And that's it for our chapter 15. This has been chapter 15. Again, we're coming to you from Peter Colon's book on communication, business communication, developing leaders for a network world. And the publisher is McGraw-Hill. That's it for chapter 15. We have one last chapter, and we're going to get started on that after we take a break here, and we'll come back to chapter 16. Take care.